up, friends? Welcome back. We're Black and Curious. I'm Kandron.
Hey, now it is Dehjai.
Um,
Welcome me, welcome you.
yes, if you've never been here before, we talk pop culture, real life, and the cross section between the two. Are you having a cocktail today?
She is.
Excellent.
So we have made a tequila Sauvagnon Blanc blood orange spritzer.
Okay, that's sort of
Just
the direction I went in. Also, what's in it?
Sauvignon Blanc, little chunks of mangoes, like a corner of the tequila I had left, and just a little spritzy bubbly. That's it.
Oh, that sounds
Oh, the
good.
blood oranges. Yeah, I forgot I squeezed it.
I'm having a concoction. I actually almost went with your direction of wine, but I went bourbon instead. So I went bourbon,
Mm.
um, the Casamigos pineapple smoke mixer,
So we into
and
the
then
Casamigos now. Okay,
no. It's just the mixer.
friend.
It's the mixer.
Well, you might like the reposado, the brown.
No, actually, I liked Casamigos. I tried it for the first time, and it was delicious. And I am not a tequila drinker, but so I will probably get a bottle of that. But this is just the mixer, though. They put out a line of mixers with Williams Sonoma.
I gotta get those.
So yeah, I have the pineapple smoke mixer, and Trader Joe's has a pineapple green tea sparkly. So I put that in there, so it's like a little
I
combo.
might have to go get that too. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to look and see if it's in my local Trader Joe's.
Hmm.
So, you guys, we are back this week with the rest of our conversation on life design.
Yes.
This week we're talking about prototyping. So, Kandron, take it away, sis. What is prototype?
Okay, so if you've been watching the series, you know the steps. And the previous step 3, is about imagining 3 alternative lives for yourself, 3 versions. And then step 4 is simply to try things out. So it's like either trying things or speaking to people who have.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been testing this a little bit, kind of micro testing this. First of all, I will say I think that I've prototyped a lot of lives, and I'm having a problem with the last step, which is the choosing well.
Like, you gotta pick one, sis.
Because my thing is I like to try things. So even if I like if even if I only do it for a little while, if something calls out to me, I will try it. So certain things I've tried and dropped, or tried and like kind of like, I don't know, maybe not, whatever. Or I've built on them in some other way, but I have a hard time with with making the decision. So I guess we'll get back to that in the next episode. But I've been sort of more intentional about it. So I told y'all in the last episode that my dream life would be to just travel and have like a consignment store somewhere. And so I went to this consignment boutique, this local one, and just started asking the lady some questions. She wasn't very warm, so I kind of just like asked her. I mean, she wasn't mean. She was actually in a rush. She probably would have been more warm if she hadn't just opened. But I
Mm.
think she was like running late, and she told me something happened with her car and all this stuff. So she was like, somebody had to drop her off. So she was rushing to like open the door and the whole thing. So I like kind of asked her some questions, but I know of a few high-end consignment boutiques around here that maybe I'd like to go and just talk to the owners or ask a few more questions about what they're doing and how lucrative it is. Not that it's all about money, but the city I live in right now is expensive, so it's not, you can't be out here just doing a little piece of something, you have to
And you
do
cannot.
something where you can make a living.
Hello.
So I think that's an example of, and obviously I've told you guys that I resell part-time on the side. So I think, and I've been watching other resellers on YouTube. I think YouTube is actually a really good source for this kind of stuff too, because even if you don't get to ask questions directly, you can see how people are running their businesses.
Mm-mm.
So this reseller that, and like a lot of people they give you the tea behind the whole entire process on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So
You just got to watch it or
you
find
just
it.
have to watch it. So I've been watching reseller YouTubes, and of people who make a lot of money. Like this one lady, she makes six figures reselling clothes. Yeah.
Child, maybe I need to rethink my business.
Right. Like she makes six figures and she doesn't work. She has been honest. And I think she has a business background too. Her name is Mogi Beth, if anybody is interested in that. But I think she has like an MBA or like a business degree. And so she has tweaked her business such that she makes six figures. And she's like, I really only work about 3 hours a day.
Bitch, I
She
need.
has, that's what I'm saying. Like she has employees, she has virtual employees, she has a physical employee. And so I'm watching her business model. I'm watching other people on there. There's another one that I really like, Nikki Beauty Buys. She's a Black girl. And so just watching them and seeing what they're doing, how they're sourcing, how they're whatever, getting inventory, whatever, it has been really incredibly helpful. And I've made a lot more money since I've been watching them.
Hmm.
So I think the prototyping,
Okay.
we can do like virtual prototype, like everything doesn't have to be one to one. Sometimes you can go on YouTube and just follow people and figure out what they're doing. And the
Right.
same for even when we started this platform, a lot of the stuff that I learned as far as like marketing and stuff like that, even though we don't have a huge audience yet, prayerfully we get there, but
Y'all are growing. Our little collective. We love you.
yes, you're growing. But a lot of that stuff I learned from watching YouTubers. Like I watched a lot of other people do their content. I saw how they were teasing apart their content and making it last longer,
Yeah.
or making one episode into five, and sort of taking our lessons from other areas of our lives. Like it doesn't always have to be a one for one.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think I don't know that I've done a lot of prototyping, but I can't say that I haven't either. I guess I feel like honestly, I would say that some of the prototyping that I've done has been more of like in the manifestation of it all, in the
Mm,
sense of like figuring out what it is that you want and then calling that into your existence and like living a life that, excuse me, leads to that particular path and being
right.
open at the same time to like whatever flows in and whatever experiences you have. I think I've done more of that than like doing physical. I don't know. That is something I really have to think about.
Yeah. And I think again, it can be small ways, it can be big ways. It can be just talking to people. It can be actually trying to do some of this stuff for yourself. So I think I'm really good at the prototyping phase. It's the choosing that I struggle with.
I think I don't. I. It's interesting that I'm stuck on the prototyping.
I do find that interesting.
You know what I mean? Because it's like this is, I guess, because I don't think about it in this way, but it is
Hmm.
something that I'm doing. Like, we make, I make jokes all the time with my friends who know about husband. But that's, it's my husband. So, like, in that experience, it's like, yeah, okay, I've imagined this whole, like, this is very simple explanation of what you're saying, but I've imagined this whole existence of like what life could be like and so on and so forth. And in that realm, that is a form of prototyping, but it's also like manifesting. So that's why I'm like, I don't know, maybe I just call it something different, and that is what the stuckness is.
Maybe. I think though, something that, and it could be in, obviously it's different for everybody, but something that he talked about is having a bias toward action, which I think is very me, which is why I think it resonated with me. So
What does that
basically,
mean? A bias towards action?
a bias toward doing something,
Okay.
a bias toward taking some sort of action. So even if you're feeling stuck, the answer is not necessarily to get unstuck. The answer is to do something. The answer is to do something that's going to shift your mind, or do something that's going to shift the situation maybe a little bit so that you can just get out of that feeling of stuck, or to find some area of motion. So going back a little bit to the second episode, just to find like a little space where you can make some motion so that you
Mm-hmm.
can get unstuck. And I think the same is true here in that there's sort of a bias toward, okay, you have these lives, you're not satisfied with the one that you have, so you've got to go do something about it. And that doing something can be as small as just talking to someone else
Mm-hmm.
that has that experience, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, in your situation, and I know you've done this, some of this, in your situation, it could just be like talking with your married friends or
Oh yeah, we have an episode about that.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we do have an episode about that, so I'll link it above where if single and married friends can people can be friends or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll link that in the cards. But it could be that. It could be yeah, just like figuring out something that you can do toward that end. If in some people's situation that might be dating online, that might be trying to get in touch with people who are similarly situated. It can be any number of things, but the thing that he said that really resonated with me is that you should have a bias toward action.
That is, I, huh. That I am so confounded. We can't get the words out. Okay. The bias towards action is just so, I don't know what it is about that phrase that I am very much stuck here in this thing.
Are you stuck bad or stuck good? Like, are you kind of like, I've never heard that as something I never thought about, or are you stuck like, I
I
don't
feel like
believe
I'm
that?
just confused and I'm like, I'm like, this is not, it's not hard. It's not, I think it's just different language. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, you know, words mean things and people get stuck on words sometimes. And I think that's what's happening for me right now. I think I
Okay.
understand the concept completely because it is something, this is how I live my life. I manifest a lot of things that I want into my life, which is prototyping, right? So, this idea of like, I guess the bias toward action for me shows up as faith.
Okay.
And that is something that I have struggled with like throughout my adulthood because adulting is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Or let me change my language. Adulting can be what you think it is.
Okay.
So my previous understanding of adulting is that it was hard. I am trying to let that go.
So can I challenge you really quick? Because I'm curious about this. Now that you have gotten stuck here, I'm kind of curious about this. So I know your beliefs are bigger than, you know, a book.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, Bible, you know, for the most part, but other books as well, they say faith without works is dead. So
Facts.
why are you, what's the struggle
It's
about
so
action?
interesting. So
What's the struggle about having action and having motion? Like I feel like your mind and because of how your life works and your mind works, it's like you very much have a trying to say this well. You
child,
very
you
much
just said, you know me. It's
no, I
okay. I'm
know,
not gonna
but
be
you very
offended.
much have a manifesting a
Manifesting spirit.
you have a manifesting spirit where you're
Yeah.
more so willing to call things toward you. And I am a person, and this is where we're very opposite. I'm a person who's more inclined to go and get the thing, but then sometimes things don't work out, and that throws me off and why I'm in this space because and why I have been in this space of like struggle because I've gone out and I'm still not getting where I thought I had wanted to go.
Girl, we are
So
not that different.
but this is what I'm saying. So it's like I have I like I said, the bias toward action resonates with me because when I want something, and even my grandma said this, my grandma said this to me the other day. She's like, you'll figure it out. And when you want it, when you figure it out and you want something, you always go get it. And so I always have a bias toward the move, toward the start a new business, toward the whatever. And yeah, so that language resonates with me. So it's interesting to me that it's
I
murkier.
think maybe I'm getting tripped up on the wording, because bias to me, when I think about it, is like an impasse. Like okay, so for clients having a conversation with me or whatever the case may be, if you are a friend of a friend or like a familial tie of some sort, I have a bias because I have a relationship with you. You know what I mean? So like that's an impasse for me. So I'm like, a bias of action is so, I'm like, man, that is, I am confounded. And I think, so to the point of what you were saying about how I live my life very much like esoteric, I guess, where I understand all the properties of manifesting and trying to calling things in and calling things to you and so on and so forth. But at the same token, I am very, very logical. And that logical side of me is like, if I want it, I'm gonna go get it. And that is what gets in the way of my ability to manifest things as fast. Cause like you have seen me be at the bottom of the bottom and then poof, everything is okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, but I what I recognize now at this stage in my life is that I prolong the thing because I am so used to going after what it is that I want. So because I'm running after the thing, trying to make it happen, I am also repelling the thing at the same time.
Interesting.
I know that sounds so crazy, but like I'm trying to figure out like if I could say that any better. I don't know. Because I realized this shit about myself in the last 4 years through my own spiritual practices, one, and then two, also being in therapy on top of going through my like spiritual journey. And like the most recent conversation that I had with my therapist was around the idea that I have been taking care of people since I was like 6 or 7 years old, and taking care of people in an emotional way. Like I could feel that this is what was needed. And so I showed up that way to fill the void. Right. So as someone who is used to being the caretaker, hence I'm a life coach. My background was in clinical therapy. Like a friend of mine I hadn't spoke to in almost a year, his birthday was yesterday. He said, literally, you're a counselor and a healer. And he like had a whole meltdown. I love you. Shout out to you. But like acknowledging that, because that is my state of being all the time, like I'm always action oriented. So to be in a place of having to walk in faith is hard. As much as I understand, like, you know, faith without works is dead. Like the work for me is to be still and believe. I'm not good at that.
Okay.
Not that I am, right? But let me change my language because we're not still doing the same trajectory. In the past, it has been hard for me to have faith that things are going to work out, even with all the signs that I have been given and like the random conversations that I've had with strangers. I think that in the last, she's starting to get hot. Okay. All right. I think that in the last, I'll honestly be like in the last 90 days, maybe a little longer than that, I have been more consciously aware of the story that I'm telling myself and the inner conversation, the inner dialogue that I'm having, and what is happening outside of me, right? Okay. So like what I mean by that is, let's say that I am a ocean, and someone like an asteroid, which is a person, right? An asteroid comes into the ocean and lands, and it sends out a ripple effect, right? So now, because I'm the ocean and there's ripples happening, I am playing in my mind all the things that have taken place with this ripple when it's just one incident. I don't need to be focused on this one incident that happened, as opposed to being continuously focused on the ecosystem that I am thriving and growing within and without. Mm-hmm. So like, but to do that, I have to do mental gymnastics. And I ain't gonna lie to you, this shit has been different. I'm not gonna say difficult. I want to, but it has been difficult or different, excuse me, in the sense that I have never done this before. Like, never done this before. So I am sitting in a place of what I would consider inaction, but what is actually faith.
Okay.
Did I lose you? Okay. You looked a little.
I was confused. I was confused, but I think I got where you're going. Is that sometimes the being still is the
action. Yeah.
I got that. So for me, I felt like the bias, that word specifically for me, it just meant a default. So that's how I received it. It's like you have a default toward action, whether you're creating spiritual action or if you're creating actual physical action. I felt like that's what it meant. It's like your default is to do something spiritually or, in the.
And for me, it's always been a physical action. Like I understand all of this, the spirit of it all, but I'm still gonna go in this direction because this is what I want to do.
Right.
And
but that actually, this kind of goes into the next conversation a little bit of like, what do you consider? So maybe we'll put a pin in this and pick it up in the next conversation about like, the type of things you consider when you're making a choice and when you're deciding to choose well.
Oh, I feel like this is going to be an ongoing conversation that we can add to as we get further into the life design, because this is going to be an ongoing process. So
for sure.
Let's put a pin in it and move on to our next conversation, and we'll see you guys over there. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, and be visiting us at our website. So it's blackandcurious.com. Got a couple of great things over there. Miss Kandron is awesome. So make sure you check out the things. And we will see you in the next conversation.
All right. Bye.